Hello and welcome to our Chapter 3 review for 7th grade math. Some of you guys let me know that you really just prefer seeing me work problems on paper, so here we go. These are very similar directions to what you're going to see on your quiz in Canvas this week. So the first section asks you to simplify the expression. So that is key for combine like terms. Okay, both of these have an x in them, so we can say 4x plus 12x equals 16x. Okay, here we're going to look at what our like terms are. Anything that has the same variable to the same power is considered a like term. So I'm going to put a box around my variable terms, and I'm going to put a circle around my constant terms. So 19x minus x is 18x. 5 minus 6 is negative 1. So we have simplified that expression. Here, we're also going to put a box around our variable terms. And notice they're all the same variable to the same power. Then we're going to circle our constant terms. Now you're noticing that I circle the sign that's in front of it. Because remember, we talked about with expressions, we're just adding variables and constants together. So we're going to think of adding a negative 4. So that's why I circle that whole term, including the sign. So 2x minus 4x gives us a negative 2x. Plus 4x gives us a positive 2x. Another way to think about it is that these are opposites and cancel each other out. 4x minus 4x gives us 0, so we're just left with 2x. And then when we add our constants, 5 plus 2 is 7. All right, we're off to a good start. Next directions are to use the distributive property to simplify the expression. So the distributive property is the one where we draw these arrows. Remember that? And we multiply whatever is outside the parentheses by each term inside the parentheses. So negative 2 times 5. We have a negative times a positive. Our answer is going to come out negative, and it will be a negative 10. Negative 2 times 3x. So our answer will be negative because a negative times a positive gives us a negative, and it will be a negative 6x. So we've simplified it using the distributive property. Here we have 2 times each of these terms inside the parentheses, and then we have to subtract 3x once we've simplified this. So we draw our arrows first. 2 times negative x is negative 2x. 2 times 2 is 4. And then we have minus 3x that just comes down. Now we're going to put a box around our variable terms and add our like terms. When we're adding a negative and a negative, if we drew that on a number line, remember I always tell you do a number line. We start here at negative 2. We're subtracting or adding a negative number, same thing. So we're going to move this way. So we would end up at negative 5. So that would be a negative 5x plus 4. And we've simplified it as far as we can. Now our next one, we have 3 terms inside the parentheses. You're going to notice that this negative is going to stick with the 2y, and this negative is going to stick with the 3. Okay, so when we multiply whatever's outside the parentheses by each term, we are going to have to be very careful with our signs. So negative 3 times 7x gives us a negative 21x. Negative 3 times negative 2y gives us a positive 6y. Negative 3 times negative 3 gives us a positive 9. Remember, if we have a negative times a negative, it ends up being a positive, okay? And that's only when we have multiplication. A negative times a positive gives us a negative, okay? Now we're going to look at these and see, are there any like terms that we can combine? You're going to notice this is an x and this is a y. They have different variables, so we cannot add those together. So this is in simplest terms. All right, now the next part of your test is going to ask you to evaluate or to find equivalent expressions. So it's going to ask you, is the following true or false? So you're going to say, does this actually equal what's on this side? And the answer would be true, because when we add terms together, we can switch the order. That's the commutative property. Here, we're going to have to use the distributive property to evaluate this first. So we have 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times negative 4 would be negative 12. Does that equal this? And we would say false. All right, and the final one, we are going to have to add all of these together. So 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 7 is 15. They're all y's, so we can add them together, and it does equal 15y. So we would say that is true. So the next section of the quiz is going to ask you to evaluate the expression. So they give you an expression, and they give you values to plug in for a and for y. So we're going to put negative 2 in wherever we see an a, and then minus 6y. Well, we know y is 3, so we're going to put it like that. So then our next step will be to multiply that out. Negative 2 minus 18 equals negative 20. We have evaluated the expression. Now we have to write an expression. Tom has 4 more books than Bob. So we could say B plus 4 is how many books Tom has. Now, when you are looking at words and expressions, you are going to see words like product. That means multiply. Sum means add. 3 less than means you have something minus 3. The quotient means divide. Decreased by means you have something decreased by 3. Less than means you have something minus 3. More than means you have something plus 3. Okay, so be very careful with those words and good luck on your quiz.